What's up, everybody? So, I had a conversation today with a buddy of mine, and he's a retired criminal defense attorney. So we usually get into philosophical conversations. He went to law school, theological conversations. And it was interesting because we got into a conversation about the Constitution. And it was funny because his argument is basically the political argument that I have gotten whenever I talk about the Constitution. They say it's 247 years old. It doesn't affect times today. It doesn't affect how we are today. And I laughed because I said, in actuality, after reading the amount of books I've read, ancient books, I realized the Constitution is not 247 years old, or 244 years old, I'm sorry. The Constitution is actually, I might be off on my numbers, because it was drafted in 1787. I'm not going to do the math, because I want to get the point across. The Constitution is actually probably closer to 3,500 years old. See, our forefathers, when they drafted the Constitution, they used ancient societies and their failures to try and better a more perfect document. So they drafted it studying ancient Greece, ancient Rome, the Bible, which is the ancient scriptures of society, the Decalogue, which is the Ten Commandments, and so on and so forth. The document itself is a rule book of civil rights, and it's a rule book of how we are supposed to conduct ourselves in society. Now, it's interesting because I've been doing some research on the application. The document says it is the supreme law of the land, which means that if that law is breached, then it's a violation. And if it's breached by a government official who takes an oath, well, that's called treason. So recently there have been some people offended at the fact that treason is punishable by death. Well, I'm sorry. I'm not the one that took the oath, and I'm not the one that broke it. If you don't like it, maybe you need to talk to your soul about your own fears, because I don't have any fears. But I wanted to make the point that the document was drafted using ancient history and ancient philosophy. And the fact that as I presented this to him, he was like, that's an interesting argument. Almost like he had never heard that argument before. Then we got into the idea of the Constitution in society, and we talked about the revolution. And it was interesting because he's like, only 20%, I think it was 20% of the people, this is the argument they give us, only 20% of the people actually wanted to secede from Britain. And they were the landholders, and they were this, and they were that, and they were all these people, right? To discredit them, right? To discredit their ability of the document that they drafted. What I found fascinating was I said, well, if you look around, only 20% of the people actually wanted to secede, yet 80% never said no. It isn't like the American people that were there at the time stood up and said, we don't want to secede. They were complicit. They went along with it. They didn't stop it. They didn't fight it. They just let the 20% that wanted to do something about it go do something. And that's pretty much how things are today. People get together. There's a rough group of motivated people that want to make changes. And then there's the people that are there when they're there, but they're not really. And then there are people that just don't say anything, and they just go along with the flow because they agree, but they're just not motivated enough. Well, that's your 80%. So again, his response was, that's a very interesting perspective. I was like, yeah, it's not like the other citizens took up arms and started fighting the revolution, the patriots, to declare independence from Britain. They went along. They were part of it. They just weren't actively part of it. And I think these are some of the things that we get programmed or we get led astray from the facts of what really transpires and what really goes on. So I hope everybody had a blessed day and stay safe.